Good afternoon. My name is Michael Brzezicki, and I am the Division Chief for Leadership Development with the Training Directorate. For the next few minutes, I'm going to discuss with you the member training that is available from National. You probably receive throughout the year various communications through your chain of leadership and management about training that's offered within the district. So I'm not going to try to repeat any of that information. But I'm going to go over all of the training that is available to members from various national sources. First of all, each of the directorates, which you can get to by going to uscgox.org and get into the menu and drop down and open up any number of directors. The directorates all have training available. Much of this is online, and if it's not, there's information there on how to either get into a virtual class, a face-to-face class, or sometimes it's a self-paced where you read some information and then take some challenge tests. Also within the Training Directorate, which is another directorate, you can open up their homepage, and there is a menu item on the left side that says Ox Member Training, and if you click in there, all of the directorates are listed and all of their training is also listed, so you don't have to do so much of a scavenger hunt. Within the Training Directorate, there's a number of opportunities for member training and professional development. One of the first places you can look there is a site that you can go into that has information on core training, and it goes over the various core training classes where you can get to them. Nearly all of those are online. None of them are instructor-led, so they're all virtual in that you are doing self-paced. Also, there is a link within there, to OXOP, and it's the same case. There's training material for you to study and challenge the exam, or training material you can use to present at your flotilla or division. Within the core training site, there's another link that refers to the 3-star award. 3-star award is when 90% of your flotilla is fully compliant with their core training requirements. This is an award that a flotilla can apply for every single year. Historically, it's been open for nominations between January and June. That is being changed, so to be 12 months of the year, you can nominate your flotilla should you have an influx of new members during the summer and they get their core training done quickly. Also within the Training Directorate site, there is a portal called Leadership Development. And Leadership Development takes you to the Auxiliary Leadership Development Program. I'll get into more detail in a minute on that one. Another menu option that you can select is C-Schools. C-Schools have traditionally been on the ground, face-to-face, typically funded with Coast Guard money. They have been, for the most part, suspended these past 2 years because of COVID-19, and many of those courses have gone virtual. To find out information about which C-Schools are offering what, you can get into the member support sites. So when you're on the C-School homepage, where there used to be a C-School calendar, you scroll down a little bit and you'll see member support sites. And you can click on any of the C-Schools to find out what are they all about, what do they teach, who can go, are there any requirements. Now that we're going virtual, within the leadership C-Schools, that being OXLAMS, AMLOC, ALOC, or sometimes known as DCAP, they have a link on each of their home pages where you submit a request form to be considered for a class. It's basically letting the course manager or the branch chief know that, hey, I'd like to attend the course, put me in the line or the queue. In leadership development, and I will specifically go there, you have the BQC2 course, and that's a stable course. Not much has been going on there as far as updates or developments. And if you're trying for level 1 certification, level 1 competency certification, that is one of the required courses. So you might be grandfathered in that you don't need it as part of your core training package, but if you want level 1 certification, you will have to take it. It is a really good course. I've had very senior and tenured people tell me they learned stuff from there that they wish they had known earlier about the Coast Guard Auxiliary. Then you have the APC course, which is the Auxiliary Administrative Procedures course. Essentially, that's a course on how to use the AUX manual. The AUX manual, of course, is our #1 management and leadership tool. It contains everything that a leader, whether elected or appointed, should know or have access to know about how we operate as an organization. The goal of that is to stop leaders from creating urban legend by making up stuff and have them get comfortable with looking it up in the AUX manual. That course is currently being revised, although there is a course there to take. And the revised course will be designed to be a little more interesting with some historic videos just to spice it up a little bit and get off the subject sometimes of looking in a large book. The Auxiliary Flotilla Leadership course is taught face-to-face on ground. There is a process in their website to how you can apply to be an on-ground instructor. The goal is to have one AFLC on-ground instructor in every division. We are far from it. Very few districts have anybody qualified to teach that course. Here in 8 Eastern, we actually have 4 people qualified. The AFLC, as it's known, is also taught virtually. It's a 4-week course. It's taught on the learning management platform of Moodle, and it's interactive with live instructors. They will support the class and work through problems and projects with you, just like in a bona fide college course. That's self-enrolled. You just sign up. You don't have to fill out any forms or anything. And they take up to 60 people per cohort. During the non-boating season, they will run 2 cohorts, port and starboard, meaning they can have up to 120 people going through in a 4-week period. And they assign sometimes as many as 5 instructors so that students do get equal participation with instructors rather than having 1 or 2 instructors try to manage 60 students. So you'll be assigned to an instructor and they will be your mentor and coach through the course. The next of the leadership courses actually start the C schools, so we can go back and look at the C school support sites. First one being the Auxiliary Leadership and Management School, otherwise known as AUX-LAMS. That's available on ground, which has been basically suspended through the last 2 fiscal years because of COVID. But on the ground, it's taught either in a weekend format where you come in for 2 weekends to do Part A and Part B, or you come in for 5 days and do what's referred to as a resident course. In the virtual world, it's a 7.5-week course. It's taught via Zoom and using Moodle as a support site. And it's a very interactive course with live instructors. And the interesting thing is a lot of the students have been forming their own groups around the course. They have a LinkedIn page now that's just for recent AUX-LAMS graduates. And lots of the students form their own study groups, almost like a traditional college, and they get together 1 night a week outside of class to study for the next week. AMLOC, which is the next level course, which is your leadership course for level 3, is for the mid-level officers, in this case for division commanders, vice division commanders, staff officers, and for branch chiefs and branch assistants on a national level. This is essentially a commercial course. It's the Leadership Challenge course. You can look up the Leadership Challenge online, find that there's many offerings out there, and for around $1,500 you can go to a weekend seminar, buy a bunch of books, and get the same training you'll get from this course. This course online also runs 7.5 weeks. These are active courses. AUX-LAMS has been active for some time now. AMLOC just finished 3 cohorts, and they're building a list for the next courses. If you want to get into AMLOC, go to the student support site for AMLOC, fill out the questionnaire, submit it, and that puts you in the line. In the real world, when we're relying on money to fund orders, we typically only let the priority or target audience into these courses. With the use of virtual, in this case Zoom and Moodle, money isn't an issue. So don't let your current position hold you back from seeking higher levels of training. However, if you are wanting to go to AMLOC, for instance, you need to be already level 2 certified. So as you're looking through the Auxiliary Leadership Development site, you will notice in the menus it says level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and level 5. Within each of those drop-down menus, you will find the course requirements to achieve level 1 competency certification, level 2, 3, 4, or 5. The next of our C schools, which will be the leadership course that anchors level 4, is the ALOC course, the Upper Level Officer course, or DCAP. This is traditionally for brand new district captains and for deputy national directors. Again, because we aren't expending any funds, if you're already level 3 certified and want to get your name on the list, the priority group will fill the class first, and if there's vacancies, the course manager will fill you in on that. So conceptually, you could get to level 4 certification and not be a DCAP. The last of our leadership courses, or C schools, is the Senior Officer course. Normally that information doesn't really make sense to most members because this course is only open to newly elected district chiefs of staff and newly appointed national directors. It's a 20-month course online in Moodle, and they do one resident session at the Coast Guard Academy for 5 days, and they do monthly value-added training, which runs roughly an hour each time with guest speakers. The current cycle, just for information's sake, has been funded for a second 5-week period during the second year, and they'll be going to Coast Guard Base Alameda and actually getting to interact with operational Coast Guard units. So there is a large amount of member training available, whether it's in the leadership areas or in the specialty areas. Looking through the auxiliary website will lead you to all of this. Now, if you get in there and it looks a little confusing, you can contact Peter Graham, and he is in District 9 West, and he is available to do sessions for your flotilla, your division, or any combination of groups, where he will explain this via Zoom in some detail to meet your specific needs. He tailors his presentation to range between 1 and 2 hours. So depending on how in-depth you want Peter to get, that's what he would present to you. Leadership competency is a way of recognizing people who have gone through the steps to learn about leadership, to professionally develop, and to better prepare themselves for leadership roles, whether elected or appointed in the auxiliary. And yes, we understand taking a lot of courses does not make you a good leader. It's how you use the information. But our thought is if you're going to go through the effort, you'll probably make the effort to be a good leader. I'm also available through the Training Directorate website. Again, it's Michael Berzicki. And you can find me, if that doesn't help find me, you can get me in 8 Eastern, which is your district. And I can provide you with information or steer you in the correct direction to get to who the course managers are and who operates. Now, a few items I'm going to zero in on that are in there that might be of interest to you. Soon there's going to be elections, and we'll have newly elected flotilla and newly elected division commanders. Within level 2, there is a transition guide for incoming flotilla commanders. And it's essentially a list of everything you have to do from the moment you are told congratulations to the minute you officially assume the office. In level 3, there's a division commander transition guide, which provides the same thing. From the minute you're told congratulations to the minute you officially assume the role, it tells you all the steps you need to do to make that transition. Also within level 2, we have some guides that may help you as you plan for further success in your flotillas. There is a succession planning guide, and it outlines some suggested succession plans so that you can be preparing the members in your flotilla to assume greater roles in leadership within the flotilla and then ultimately within the district. There's also a mentoring guide. The mentoring guide is the Coast Guard's mentoring guide that we have auxiliarized, and this is the guide that they operated their mentoring program on prior to them going to an online program, which unfortunately we in the auxiliary cannot access. And then to round it all out, there is a coaching guide so that we can actually spell out the difference between coaching in that guide, mentoring in the other guide, and then how to play a role in succession planning. So it's kind of a trifecta package. And they're not very thick, it's not heavy reading. So if you go through there, it'll help you how to really design a program where your members are being developed and getting ready for future leadership roles. Again, within each directorate, there's lots of training. Some of it can be captured and used at a flotilla level, but much of it is for an individual to go through and take themselves. To capture and use on a flotilla level, there's another place you can go to, and it's under level 2, and that is the deck plate training. There you have actual training modules designed for flotillas. They run roughly 20 minutes, and they are tied to a specific leadership competency. And in there, there's videotapes, slide decks, discussion guides, training guides for a number of topics. Also within there, there are articles, again, around the leadership competencies that can be put in your newsletters. There's actually enough articles in there that you could run an entire newsletter and have all articles on leadership. Other sites that are worth looking at within the leadership development site is the Flotilla Staff Officer Training site. That's a site that's being built out, but there is a very interesting and very helpful 20-minute video that explains what it is to be a flotilla staff officer. So it's the fundamentals of being a flotilla staff officer. And within there, it explains the roles and responsibilities of flotilla staff officers. So if you're considering to be a flotilla staff officer, or you're a brand new one and you're still not sure exactly what it is you do, while this will not get into the specific mission sets, it will in fact give you information so you understand how to function in that leadership role as you acquire the skill set for the mission set. So, even though we're not doing face-to-face training as often as we used to, there is still ample training. You can do OXOP courses, which no longer require a proctor, except for Navigation Part B and Rules of the Road First Time Out. You can take Flotilla Leadership course, you can take OXLAMS, and you can take AMLOC, and you can take ALOC all virtually, and get your leadership certification all the way to level 4. You can go to the PA site, there's the directorate. They have courses you can take to prepare to be a PA. You can go to the public education site, and they have courses that will prepare you to be an instructor. So, think about this. Try to develop a culture of member training and professional development. And my area of real expertise is try to develop a culture of leader development. We are all leaders in the auxiliary. If you go to the directory, you'll notice it says Auxiliary Officer Directory, not Auxiliary Enlisted Directory. We are all leaders in the auxiliary, and there's training programs and professional development material out there for you. So I'm going to finish up a little bit early, rather than just rambling on. Just keep in mind, if you're finding it difficult to navigate any of these sites, your division commanders and your vice division commanders had a 4-hour briefing earlier today where they went into a very deep dig into every one of these sites I just mentioned. Your DSOMTs have gotten this briefing when they would go to their DSOMT meetings. So you have people you can reach out to and say, okay, there's too much stuff, I'm confused, help me. And if all else fails, you can reach out to the training directorate and we'll be very happy to assist you. So with that, I'm going to conclude my presentation and be a short period of time before the next presenter is available. Hopefully you got something out of this. Thank you for listening in, and reach out to me if you need any more information.